This is the Insta360 1R, and this is the camera that I've been really excited about for a very long time because it combines an action camera and a 360 camera all in one place. So in today's video, I'm really excited to check it out and show you what it's capable of. Unfortunately, because of the current situation, I wasn't able to fully test the camera as much as I wanted to. So take this video as my first impressions with the camera combined with the pros and the cons which I found during my time with it. And as soon as I have the chance, I will go out and record more with it and update you guys on my final verdict about this camera. But for now, let's focus on my first impressions. So like I mentioned in the beginning, the biggest thing which attracts me to this camera is the fact that it's modular, which means that you can simply remove the battery base and then you're left with this. This is the camera and the screen, and you can easily swap these like so. And then you can simply reattach the base. And your screen is now in the front, so you can vlog with it like so, and you can see what you have in frame. And let's not forget that you also have this thing in the package as well, and that is a 360 module, and it works the same way. You remove the battery base, you detach the camera, the action camera part, and you can attach the 360 part like so. Now when it clicks, you're all good to go. You have a camera in the front, camera in the back, and you can shoot 360 all from one device. If you need to repair something, you can simply put it out and change it, or actually this, and change it, send it for repair, or just buy a new one. And you only need to buy this part. You don't have to change your whole screen, for example, or your whole camera when something breaks. So that's cool and all, but how good is the quality itself? So I managed to test mostly the action camera, and not so much the 360 camera. The 360 camera I will test furthermore in a separate video, but in most of my tests I noticed that the quality is extremely nice and sharp. And keep in mind, I shot everything in 4K 30 frames per second with the flat color profile, so you can actually get more dynamic range by using this option and then color grade the footage yourself. But one thing I noticed is that the footage itself is very clear, very sharp, and it just looks much better in my opinion than my GoPro Hero 6 Black and 7 Black for that matter as well, and also better than the DJI Osmo Action. So since I'm a drone channel, the Insta360 1R is a very interesting camera for me because I really want to see how it's going to perform strapped on my FPV drone. So let's do that real quick and see the shots from the air. Now it's time to check out the 360 mode, which I'm really interested in. So we have one camera in the front and one in the back. So footage should be quite interesting. I'm not sure what exactly can I expect from that, but I'm really interested, so let's check it out. So as you can see, flying on a drone was not something that the Insta360 One R was capable to deal with. There was so much jello and so many vibrations going through the camera itself. So even the Flowstate stabilization wasn't able to smoothen these out. And I think the biggest issue here was the way I mounted the camera on the drone itself. I used a hard mount, and with all these vibrations, the camera just couldn't fix those vibrations, couldn't smoothen them out. So I think it wasn't a very fair approach to mounting the camera. I think I should use a dedicated drone mount for the Insta360 One R. Luckily, I managed to find one, but I have to 3D print it. So as soon as I have access to a 3D printer, I will print a mount for the One R for my FPV drone, and I'll redo this test so I can see if it's going to improve the footage or not. So stay tuned for that video. And even though the footage looks very bad with all this jello and vibrations, if you pause the footage and you take a couple of snapshots out of it, you will see how crisp the footage looks and how the quality is actually really good. One thing which I really appreciate about this camera is how easy it is to edit the footage after you have shot it, and for that I have used only my phone. So all of the footage that you have seen in today's video has been edited only on my phone, and it's really easy and intuitive to find and do everything you want to do in the app itself. One thing which I wasn't aware of in the beginning is the fact that you can change the field of view of your footage after you have taken it. Even when you use the action camera and not the 360 mode, you can still do that, and you can quickly go from ultra to wide to narrow or even linear field of view with the press of a button, and you can do that on the Osmo Action or the Gopro. You select a field of view and you're stuck with it. So this is a really cool touch and something that allows you to quickly change the field of view depending on what type of footage you need. And that's definitely a huge thing that I like. Other than that, you still have the option to have the invisible selfie stick when using the 360 mod, which allows you to create some really impressive, unique looking shots. And I even have this extremely long, I believe 3.5 meters long selfie stick, which could be very interesting to film with and even create some fake drone shots with it. So I will be using that as well as soon as I can and show you more footage of it soon. So let's do a little comparison. This is the Insta360 One R filming in 4K 30 frames per second. This is the Osmo Action, also filming in 4K 30 frames per second. Everything is set to auto. And finally, we have the GoPro Hero 6 Black filming in 4K 30 frames per second. Also everything set to auto. So as you can see in the sound department, this camera really falls behind the competition. And even though Insta360 has already released a firmware update which fixes some of the issues with the sound, it's still very bad. It sounds tinny and it sounds distant. It doesn't sound realistic at all. And I wouldn't really recommend you to use this camera if you need a good sound out of it. You can of course mount an external microphone with it, but don't count on the internal microphone, because as of right now, maybe there will be more firmware updates to fix that, but as of right now, it's just not a good look for the sound. So the price of this camera is 500 euros, and that gives you the 360 mod and the action camera mod. So you'll have those two devices all in one. There are a lot of different configurations to choose from on Insta360's website. There is a 1-inch mod which you can also purchase separately. You can buy a bundle, you can create your own configuration with different accessories depending on what type of footage you want to get, what type of accessories you need. And I'll link the camera below if you want to check it out for yourself and customize it yourself. So that brings me to the final question. Is this camera worth spending 500 euros for an action camera and a 360 camera bundled in one product? And I have to say, if you don't want to carry too many cameras with you, if you want to be able to quickly switch between different lenses and create different types of footage, then yeah, this camera is great. The Flowstate stabilization works great for regular footage. So far, it's not working that well for my drone, but like I said, I will test it further in future videos. But I am impressed with the image quality. The 360 video is impressive as usual. I am a huge fan ever since I got my 1X, and this is no different. It's just as good as the 1X. If you already have a 360 camera and an action camera, then it really depends how much you value the fact that you can swap between the lenses very quickly. You don't need to bring 2 sets of batteries, 2 sets of chargers, 2 sets of SD cards every time you want to use these cameras. So it's all down to personal preference and how much this usability factor means to you. I, for one, definitely need to test this camera a lot more in depth in order to create my final opinion on it. I found a few things which I didn't really like, but of course I also found so many things which I enjoy about this camera, and I'm looking forward to test even more. So that's coming in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Stick around, don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video. These are my first impressions. These are the things which I found to be working well or not so well about the Insta360 One R. So thank you so much for watching. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.